Good morning. I'm Peggy Hurson.
It's actually afternoon, and I'm Scott Clark.
It is afternoon. The military people I know would be very upset with me.
Yeah.
We're coming to you from the coffee shop. It is Monday afternoon, July 29th. We're meeting today at Freshy's in West Seattle. It's like a little, it's a coffee shop, but it also has sandwiches and breakfast foods and...
Like a little bistro.
Yeah, totally.
They also have beer.
Do they?
Mm-hmm. I've seen it in
cabinet. Nice. Right on. Yeah, it's really cute, really popular. There's been probably 50 people have come in and out since I got here a half hour ago.
Yeah. West Seattle's pretty nice, too. I used to have relatives that lived out here.
Nice.
Yeah, and it's kind of cool.
Yeah, it is pretty cool. I like it.
It's the place you want to live in Seattle if you live in Seattle. That and Magnolia.
Where's Magnolia?
It's just on the opposite side of downtown.
Okay.
Just kind of across the water.
Weird. Is it like Queen Anne?
No, it's...
I'm trying to think of what it is.
You got it's it's another hill. That's all.
Okay.
It's one of those other rich people hills.
Oh, okay. Is West Seattle's a rich people part of town, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would think so. Because they have such great views, and you're far enough away from downtown, you kind of don't have to deal with all the downtown nonsense.
If I remember right, this used to be the vacation spot for people who lived in across the way.
Huh.
This is where summer homes are built.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Totally.
So.
Hopefully we'll be loud enough. It's really quiet in here, so I feel self-conscious talking loudly.
I wouldn't.
So we're meeting on Monday today, kind of because I got sick, but I'm feeling a lot better now. I took a bunch of Sudafed and slept for about 36 hours. And now I can breathe through both nostrils, which is a big improvement.
That's a huge bonus.
I still have that achy thing you get when you're sick, though.
That could be from the Sudafed, though.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, you get that medicated feeling.
It's true. Yeah, kind of delirious in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Disassociative, I like to call it. You get kind of it's like you feel like you're there, but you're not there. And
totally.
And the nap just always fixes it for me. I always Saturday. Well, I'm in the same way. I'm on anti-inflammatories and muscle relaxers right now.
So you're all blasted out?
No, not today because I haven't taken them because I knew I was going to drive somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I've been taking 5 and 6 hour naps in the afternoon.
So Scott got injured.
Yeah.
And so what happened? You gotta give us or tell us what you want to tell us about what happened.
Well,
and what's going on with
I
you
work
right
for
now.
I work for a local warehouse, and I drive a forklift. That's what I do until I do something different. But we've been working really long hours, and it just got to the point where people get so tired and the mistakes happen, and I got ran into by another forklift.
Oh, that sucks.
It really sucked, especially when there was no accident report made.
Oh.
So I'm in big trouble. It's not my fault, though.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I was going down the main aisle, and he came out of a side aisle and just rear-ended me. You're supposed to yield when you come out of the aisles, and it just...
Totally.
It was so hard. My forklift jumped 4 feet to the left.
Holy cow.
Yeah, and it broke parts. There was parts all over the floor. There was dust all over the floor. There was paperwork all over the floor.
So did you get that rear end neck thing?
Yeah, the whiplash. Yeah, I got two bulging discs in my neck.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ouch. Can you move your head at all?
Yeah.
Good.
I mean, it's with limits.
Yeah.
So, I'm really I can't look that far over my right or my left right now.
Totally.
So.
Well, I'm sorry. That really sucks.
Yeah. Well, the doctor took me. That the bonus is, and I'm not really, because I'm a type of person I need to do something.
Yeah.
I'm off of work for 6 weeks.
Yeah.
I'm pulled off the job for 6 weeks.
That's a long time.
It is a long time. And I get physical therapy on top of it.
Good.
And massage therapy, which I did. Nice. I love massages.
Me too.
I always request the one person that has bolts for fingers. I want them to dig in there and just loosen everything up. I just love that.
Very cool.
Yeah. So I'm just starting that now. So I'll be on L&I for a while.
Ugh. That's kind of the inherent risk in the kind of work you do, though, right? 'Cause
Yeah.
it's bound to happen at some point. That
It's
you
also
get some kind
it's
of
also
injury.
coupled with degeneration from the type
Oh,
of work I
really?
would. Yeah, it's I got degenerative like discs in my neck as well, and that coupled with that, and it's just when the doctor told me, it's just like had I been younger, I'd probably been fine.
Right.
But it's my age. I'm getting to the age where I'm going to be. Excuse me. I'm going to get to the age where I'm not accident prone, but injury prone.
Right, because
Things are wearing out.
Totally.
Just-
Well, like I don't know if we had started the podcast when I fell down the stairs in front of my apartment. I don't think we had.
No.
Oh, I ate shit down the stairs on concrete steps onto my face on the sidewalk and like got up, brushed myself off and walked away. And like my legs were like, I got home and like just skinned raw all down the front of my legs. But the fact that I didn't get injured, I was like, wow, I didn't get injured. And then I have a coworker who's only maybe like 10 years older than me, and she like kind of stumbled and turned her leg a weird way and ripped ligaments in her knee.
Yeah.
And she was telling me about it, and I was like, oh my gosh, I need to be more careful, because 10 years from now, if I had taken that fall down concrete steps, I might have been in the hospital.
You may have hurt yourself and you don't even know about it. It may manifest later on, right, too.
I think I'm okay. I mean, I hurt myself in terms of like nothing was sprained.
Right.
I didn't break anything, and I fell onto my knees, like down like 4 concrete steps, and
just took a tumble, ass over tea kettle.
Totally, I could have had like broken kneecaps. But no,
You're fortunate
I was very fortunate.
Yeah.
And then 2 weeks later, I was walking down the sidewalk and like stepped in a hole and fell again.
Wow.
I know. That time it was not my fault. The
No, it was
first
the
time it
hole's
was
fault.
a little my fault. Yeah.
It was the hole's fault.
The first time it was a little my fault because I had jeans that were like, they were pretty new and I hadn't hemmed them short enough, and I stepped on my jean and then ate it and went home and re-hemmed the jeans, and now they're perfectly fine. But I was I don't know. I'm afraid of having like dorky looking high waters, and so when I hem my jeans, I'm a very short person, and I have like,
as am I,
weirdly short legs in comparison to my height. I have
so you have a long torso,
really long torso, and so pants, I always have to hem them, and I always like kind of do it too long because I'm afraid of looking dorky with high waters.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I'm the same. I prefer shorts myself. That
I've
avoids
noticed
the
that.
entire problem.
I don't know if I've ever seen you not wear shorts.
I'm even when I was younger, in the dead of winter, I'd be in shorts. I'd be in cargo shorts.
Nice.
Yeah.
Classy.
Yeah.
Today I started what is going to be a month of nannying for my best friend.
Nanny.
I know, with her little 4-month baby, and it was super fun. I played with babies all day today, so I'm in a very good mood, I think, which is good because I've been grumpy as like crazy grumpy the last couple days.
A good baby will always put you in a good mood. I mean, if you get the one that's whiny and fussy, it doesn't help. But if you get one that's like wants to cuddle and just sleeps and stuff,
and this baby, she's really chill. She has moments of freaking out a little bit, but I'm kind of okay with a screaming baby. Like, I mean, it's not pleasant, but I don't like take it personally.
Right.
So
the babies are gonna cry.
Yeah, and sometimes they just have to cry and scream, and then you just kind of wait it out, and then they chill out, and they're fine.
I love the smell of babies.
Oh, totally.
Oh man, when my boy was little, I used to sleep with them on my chest and just smell them. Just
Cute.
You know what? I mean, the smell of clean babies. That's it. Because there's a point where it's nobody wants that whole thing. So your kid's messy.
Yeah. Ugh, yuck. Anyway, I also had something that I wanted to talk about today. Is that okay? That I did today. Are you ready for it? Okay.
Shoot.
So, behind my house, I'm going to try not to be too annoying or annoyed about this story. About a week ago, someone decided to throw out a mattress, which was then retrieved from the dumpster by persons unknown. And, like, the first day it was like, I have to kind of explain the geographics of my neighborhood in order for this story to make sense. the front door of my house is on a street.
Okay.
The back door goes into an alley, which is technically also a street.
Okay.
But, like, it's right at the back of things and all the garages open up into
Right.
it. But it has a name.
Okay.
So I always go out the back door because then it cuts over to where I usually park. So instead of going in and out of my house through the front door, because I'm on a really steep hill, so like it makes sense to walk down and just go in the back door.
Right.
So the first day, the mattress is like leaning against a wall. The second day, it's laying flat, kind of in a corner near some parking spots.
Okay.
The third day, it has blankets and pillows on it.
So it was adopted by the
Yes.
outdoor residents in
Oh,
Seattle.
yes. It is basically a hobo camp out in my backyard. So then the third day, a huge fight breaks out at about 1 a.m. And I live in a daylight basement, and so my window is at street level because they're full-size windows, but
Right.
it's like the window is like a foot from the ground.
Right.
And it's all, I'm not like afraid or anything because nobody can get to the tiny alley where my window is.
Right.
Is all walled off. But I
Right.
can hear stuff that comes from the street. So, like, the third night, I hear a couple of people, like, threatening to kill each other and, like, breaking bottles and stuff. And then the next morning, I go out the back door, and I notice all of the bottle glass that was broken is near this mattress. And so
Oh,
I'm
man.
like, okay, maybe it's now a prostitute mobile station, or I have no idea. So I was a little bit annoyed at that point.
There's a property dispute over said mattress.
Exactly. I have no idea, but it was very special and annoying to me. And so then, like, I emailed my apartment manager, and I was like, hey, the camp out back is bothering me, and I come in and out of the back door all the time,
Right.
and, like, I don't really want to have to deal with that at night. So I will go help you dispose of the mattress, and I feel like that will break it up and that people will go away.
Yeah.
And I just don't hear anything back from it. And so now it's been like a week. And this morning I got up and left. And now, as I was leaving to go to my friend's house, it was like 7:30. There were 3 people sleeping on the mattress, 4 others who were like standing around an armchair that has now entered the situation.
No.
And of course all the beer bottles everywhere. And so I was like, that's it! I'm calling the police.
Right.
So I called 311 and put in my complaint, as they called it, and just was like, hey, there's like a camp out of people, which they decided means they're squatters because they're
Right.
squatting on land. So then, seriously, I'm not kidding, 5 phone calls with like my first phone call, and then 2 more with the first woman who took my complaint, and then 2 more because they can't figure out the address that the mattress is at. And I'm like, well, I give them my address, and I was like, it's sort of by my back door, but it's across the alley.
Right.
And they're like, well, okay, that's cool, and then hung up the phone. Then I get a call back like 20 minutes later. That's not an alley, that's a street. And I'm like, well, yeah, it has a street sign, but it's like an alley. Like, it's not wide enough for 2 cars to
Right,
go through.
right.
It's like 1 car, and it's lined with dumpsters. And so then they're trying to figure out, like, what the address is that it's at, and, like, whether it's on public land or private land, because if it's on private land, then the homeowner of the land it's on has to call in a trespassing thing. I can't as a neighbor, because if, say, for example, the homeowner is charging rent to said hobos sleeping on the
So
mattress.
it's no longer squatting. Right.
Or, I don't know. But, so then
You're
it's
getting a
like...
wonderful cross-section of our tax dollars at work.
I
This is-
know.
yeah.
So then after all of that, I was just like, do something or don't do something. I don't really care.
Wow.
And
That's actually
yeah,
pretty... You can actually make a short story out of that.
it was pretty special. My favorite part of it was just the multiple phone calls of people trying to figure out exactly where the mattress is. And I just kept saying, if you just go to this particular alley and look, you will see the mattresses. And they're like, obviously they're just sitting in a call center somewhere. And they're like, well, is it on the east side of the alley or the west side?
Yeah,
What's on the east side? Well, is it, how close to the building is it? pretty close, but it's an alley, so you can't really get that far away from the building.
Right, it's maybe what, 10 feet, maybe?
Yeah, totally. It's super narrow, and so it was just like the most retarded conversation you can ever have. And then I was just like, nah, this is why people don't like, this is why it's been there for a week probably, because I wonder if my apartment manager even maybe tried to call, but...
You just need to take it when there's nobody there.
I know.
Just get it in the back of a truck and take it to a landfill.
I know that if I had a truck, I would do that. Because I feel like if I drag it to a dumpster, they're just going to pull it out of the dumpster again. Right. And so I don't really know what to do with it, and I can't really do it myself because it's like a queen size mattress.
Just set it on fire and call the fire department. There's a fire in the alley. Is it on the east side or the west side of the alley?
Seriously, it makes me feel
just drive down it. You'll
crazy.
See it. It follows the smoke.
Yeah. So I was thinking if they're still there in a bit, I'm going to wait until the evening and then call the Union Gospel Mission because they will send their mobile van out and do outreach to the homeless. And I'm feeling like if they make them a little uncomfortable, they'll find someplace else to be. You know, sometimes all it takes is like shining a flashlight on the situation for it to break up.
Yeah, the roaches run when you expose them to light.
Totally, and I'm sure they're
categorize
perfectly fine people.
Human beings as roaches. But
I think it's just the people that hang out in my neighborhood who are clearly homeless and hang out in other parts of the neighborhood who are like, oh look, a mattress. Now we can sleep here instead of walking down the street to the actual shelter.
I actually did that one time. I didn't actually sleep on a mattress outside, but a bunch of buddies of mine, we stayed out all night long, got really tired, and there was a couch that was at a drop station for the Salvation Army.
Oh.
So we just camped on it.
That's hilarious.
We did that.
That's really
But
funny.
we were 17,
right.
you know, and we
had
a home to go to.
Yeah, totally. I don't think I've ever slept on... No, I've slept on like trampolines or in backyards and stuff, but I've never like truly, and I've slept like in the back of my car at a rest stop.
Yeah, I've done that too.
But I've never, actually one time I was driving my parents' van to move, and so the seats were gone from the back.
Okay.
And I pulled into a rest stop and I was like, I'll just sleep in the back. And it freaked me out because there were too many people and I felt like they could see me even though the windows were tinted.
Right.
And I was like, I can't do this. I'm going to go find a hotel.
And it's never quiet at a rest stop.
No.
So you don't, you get rest, but it's not really a sound rest.
Yeah. It just, for some reason, like, it creeped me out too much. Even though other times I've slept in my car.
Yeah.
Where I just, like, pulled the seat all the way back and hit the snooze.
We actually do that to save money. We'll go on long trips, and most rest stops you can stay up to 8 hours.
Yeah.
And we'll just catch a few Z's and then keep you on the road because I can't justify paying $100 for just a place to lay your head. So I'm just cheap. It's just cheap.
Too.
Yeah.
I've done that a couple times when I was trying to save money too. But especially if you're just driving through. If you're literally just going to catch 6 hours of sleep in a hotel, it totally hurts.
I mean, I am rested better. I have done it. But I'll make the most of it. Like, I'll make sure they have a continental breakfast or something like that. I know I'm getting because you're only there maybe 6-7 hours.
Right.
Yeah. So it's like, oh, man,
when I was on the way moving out here, I was basically like, I drove my parents' van to Chicago, packed up all my stuff, and then drove it back here because it was like thousands of dollars cheaper than getting a moving van.
Right.
Because when I started pricing moving vans for that far, it was so expensive.
Right.
Like, I think the cheapest estimate I got was like $4,000. Which I was like, no
to have
way.
them drive it out. I mean,
for a U-Haul,
renting it.
Yeah.
You know,
isn't that crazy?
Because you see that on the side of the U-Haul says $19.95 a day.
Right, but that's only if you're in town. No.
It's never that much.
No,
that's so false advertising.
Yeah, and if you go cross country one direction, you have to pay all these fees for like not dropping, like for the mileage that you travel and not dropping it up where you picked it up, and it's all this nonsense. So I just drove my parents' van, which meant I had to drive both to Chicago and from Chicago, which was actually like kind of a lot of fun. But I spent a night in Omaha, Nebraska, and met a guy who got stabbed by a sword. like
Wow.
going into this really crappy hotel on the skirts of town, because I like on my smartphone looked up the cheapest hotel because I was trying to save money. And as I'm checking in, I walk in and there's a guy standing in the lobby in a hospital gown with like boxer shorts and hospital gown on.
Are you
and
kidding?
like hospital bracelet, bandages, and he is like in the middle of sharing this big story to the woman behind the counter, who, I'm not kidding, had the most deadpan face of like could not have been more bored and uninterested in this kid who's like, my friend's gonna call because he's wiring me the money because I have no money. I don't even have clothes. I got stabbed by a sword. And then he like
How is he even out of the hospital?
he like pulls up his hospital gown, and you see this like bandage going through like the side, like right where his like kidney, like above the kidney part.
Wow.
You see an in wound and an out wound.
Wow.
So someone totally stabbed him full through
And he's
the side
probably
with a sword.
high on medication at that point, too.
Oh my gosh,
So-
I have no idea. He seemed completely nuts. And then he had like these three kind of like, have you ever seen like the backpacking teens that are all white and like usually wearing like a lot of army green clothes, and they sort of just look like suburban kids who are just like, we're gonna go on the road, man. And then
they take like a road trek.
Yeah.
And they just whatever they can carry, that's what they take.
Right. And they kind of, I imagine that someone got a hold of like the Dharma bums and read it and was like, we're gonna go see the wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hate those people. There's like a whole community of them in Chicago that like have signs that are like, we're homeless by choice, and I'm just like, I'm so unimpressed with your...
You're stupid by choice. That's what I'm saying.
I'm like, I'm sure your
Why would anybody
ideals are so
choose to
much
be
cooler than mine, because I've bought into the machine of getting an education and paying my bills. But congratulations, but you know...
I'm all for being off the grid and whatnot, but
Yeah,
man, I like being warm at the same time
Totally.
and having food. And
Yes. You know, I'm all for being off the grid too. But here's the way you go off the grid is you then are self-sustaining.
Right.
So panhandling is not a part of the
you're a
equation
bum.
in
You are
that
a
scenario. Yeah, like I seriously have fantasies about like moving out into the country and homesteading. Like
Right.
maybe it's my Mormon upbringing and stories of pioneer life, but that to me is like, what a cool existence that would be to like grow your own food
Right.
and like build a house. But that would be me out there working my ass off to sustain
there's
my own
no
life.
rest on that.
I know.
You're basically 24/7
Oh,
survival. That's-
totally.
Yeah, and you would get to a point where you got a handle on it, but
Yeah.
and you'd have stores and whatnot.
Yeah, but it would take a crazy amount of
Right.
work. And so to me, like, that would be great if I was really willing to put in that effort and felt like, I mean, to me, I would get lonely because I need a lot of people around.
Right.
But, like, I just don't have a lot of respect for I choose not to participate in society but want society to sustain me. And then I go, well, if you're choosing to have an alternative lifestyle, you don't get to stand on a street corner with a sign and ask me for my cash that I got through participating in society.
Right. Yeah.
In a meaningful way.
Those are just bums.
I know. I'm like, well, if you can't work, or I don't know. To me, it's like backpacking around Europe for people who don't have any money to start out with.
Right.
Which I don't have any money to start out with either. Anyway.
Whatever. I kind of like that, backpacking around Europe, or like when I was overseas in Thailand, we seen the backpackers across there,
Yeah.
but they had money. They brought their own, and they
Yeah.
would set up in hostels and stuff like
Yeah.
that, and they were cool. They were really, they had stories and whatnot. But
Totally.
But I know what you're talking about. These
Yeah.
are the people that squat up in a Walmart parking lot and just
totally.
they're leeches upon society.
In a way, they are. My friends, Sean and Ginger, they backpacked around Europe for like 6 months or something, and I was like, how did you do it? But they did it just by like they spent nothing on anything. Like they hoarded their money and made it like stretched it out as long as possible. And I think they even took a couple of odd jobs, like helping people, like fixing things and stuff in a few places. But to me, like their stories of that time was so cool.
They stay off the moors.
I don't know what that means.
It's a werewolf in London.
Oh, that's right.
Stay off the moors. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would like to do that too, actually. I don't, well, no, I wouldn't.
No, I don't think I would either.
I changed my mind.
I've done
I'm too
some...
old.
Yeah, I feel too old too. I've done a lot of traveling, and I don't mind staying in like Fleabag places.
Right.
Like I've slept in some places that were like the size of my current bathroom, and there were multiple people in them, and I'm totally cool with that. Like I can go bare bones. I can go like not showering for weeks, and like I have no problem doing that. But what was I gonna say? But I've never actually. This is the Sudafed kicking in. But the part of it that I haven't done is the trip solely for backpacking. It's always like on another trip, I'll take a little like
a side trip. Off of that,
and like go to a few different towns for like a day or two, and then go back to the place where I'm like. Because all of the times I've been abroad have either been studying abroad or visiting my friend Rachel when she was in the Peace Corps in El Salvador, which was super fun.
El Salvador. And
we did a little bit of jaunting about in El Salvador, but I don't consider that backpacking just because we had things we had to be at. It was more organized.
You had a place that you could return to quickly, So it was more like day trips and whatnot.
Yeah, totally. So,
I get that.
But I think I just don't. I think I like travel less than I think I do. Like the actual travel part of traveling. I think I like being there and being around like a different culture and things like that. But the traveling part of it is the part I don't like.
The energy it takes to get to that destination is like,
it's exhausting, and I've actually kind of grown to accept that I have airport anxiety. And I think it's part of being a large-sized woman because every part of it makes me feel like I'm squished into a place with another human that I'm like, it stresses me out.
I totally know where you're coming from. Yes.
Because I always worry that like I'm going to be stuck somewhere really uncomfortable.
I'm always afraid I have to get that seatbelt extension.
Oh my gosh, I've never had to have it, and
me either.
I did though. I know. One time I got thrown off a roller coaster because I was too fat for it. It was the most humiliating moment of my entire life.
Test fittings now before you even get in line now.
I've seen those, yeah. This one I stood in line for like 4.5 hours. It's the fastest roller coaster in the world in Cedar Point.
Okay.
Ohio. I almost said Iowa. Ohio.
It sounds like an Iowa name, Cedar Point, Iowa.
Yeah, it does. It's called like Top Dragster or something, and it shoots you at like 100 miles an hour, and you go 400 feet in the air, do a full twist, and come back down.
Oh, okay.
And I couldn't get in it. But here's the thing: I actually don't think that I was too big for the seatbelt. I think it was just so awkwardly placed that I couldn't reach it.
Yeah.
And the 16-year-old burnout that was helping me was I can't do it. And I was like, if you would just push a little bit, it will. I'm telling you, it will go in. And she's just like, nope, you can't ride it. And I was like, fuck you. I just waited in line for...
Yeah.
And then I had to, like, get out of the seat. It was so humiliating.
It is. I have not yet to do that, but I've seen... when I went to Universal Studios years ago, there was a woman that couldn't get on the Mummy ride. There was no line. But she could... Well, it wasn't that...
was it like a harness that comes down?
And it couldn't go between her legs. It would lock in between legs. And they were pushing on her. I was like, oh, man.
Well, and I have really big boobs, and so those ones stress me out because I've had a couple times. One time was at Great Flags in Chicago, and there was this like big kid working, and he like walked up to me, and I was like, I know that you can make it fit. And he's like, I'll do it. And he just like... smashed it into me, and I like let all the air out of my lungs, and then like he got it to click, and then he walked away, and my nephew who was sitting next to me, I was like, I don't think I can breathe because it had like compressed my chest so much. Oh my gosh, it was totally worth it though. It was really fun.
Take a little sip of air.
Totally. I think it was the Superman or the Batman ride there, one of the two that hang you.
Oh, okay.
It was totally worth it. It was super fun. Anyway.
I like throw rides myself. I'm the only one in my family that likes riding them.
Oh my gosh, I'm obsessed. I actually just took my nephew last week. I think since we last recorded, I took my nephew to the Family Fun Center, and we played laser tag
I've never played that laser tag there. Is it good?
So fun.
Yeah?
Yeah. And we did laser tag. We played a whole bunch of video games. We rode bumper boats and drove go-karts. And
man,
like...
You dropped a nugget of cash on that place,
I dropped
didn't you?
some bones.
Yeah.
You know, it was so fun that I was like... And it was just me and him, so there was only 2 of us. And I was like, you know, we can just do whatever we want. Like, I'd rather just have fun and not worry about the budget. So, but I did drop some bones.
I'm a fan of the go-karts myself.
Yeah, they're really fun.
I'm ruined now, though. Because here in the States, they're so governed and everything's safety and everything. So nobody wants to get sued. So they're super slow.
Yeah.
And I went overseas. They don't have governs on them. I mean, these things were squealing around the corner.
Oh, jeez.
And these are just standard go-karts. And then they have ones above that are shifter carts that are 3 speeds.
Oh, wow.
Like
those
a
are
motorcycle.
like mini race cars.
Yeah, and they go up to like 90 miles an hour.
Holy shit.
Yeah, and you can't be, I think, 16 and over.
That's
cool.
cool.
And you got to wear a fire suit and all that. But
man, that would be fun.
Over there, 15 minutes seemed like hours.
Oh,
I come off of that, and it's like it was probably like 95 degrees, 100% humidity, and I was drenched from head to toe just from working that go-kart.
Totally.
It was pretty incredible.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I had a similar experience at Euro Disney, which I went to when I was like 19 and in Europe, and we were traveling and we'd been to like 1 billion museums, and so there was like the day our group was supposed to go to the Louvre. And so I got like 4 other people, and we busted through the Louvre in 45 minutes, saw like the Mona Lisa, whatever, the Venus de Milo statue, and like one other thing someone wanted to see, and then took off and went to Euro Disney for the day.
So you're almost like that montage in European Vacation, just
we seriously were like, we didn't want to run, but we were like walking as fast, like speed walking, and like just like looking around, and then we took off and went to Euro Disney and had like the most joyously stupid day of riding really crazy roller coasters, like you said, with less safety restrictions. So like the possibility of death was real.
There's no this high. You must be this high to ride this
they
ride.
were just like cramming you on this thing and then like go for it, and it like the fastest. Like it was so fun.
Really?
Yeah, it was
like
so fun. Yeah, and then we got back and everyone else was a little like all exhausted, and we were like dancing jigs and like, because also Euro Disney is not very popular, so there were no lines.
Really?
So we just like burned through everything.
So it's just like a money pit for Disneyland, more or less. Yeah.
Well, and like the French people are just not that into thrill rides, I think. But we went to like one of those like stage shows they have, and they had a Dixieland jazz band that was playing, and we were like dancing and cheering, and we were like the only people in the whole place that were excited. Everyone else was just kind of like sitting there watching the show. And after the thing, a couple of the guys from the band came down, and they were like, "You must be from the States," and they were all Americans.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, because I was going to ask how close it was to Dixieland band.
It was good jazz too, and
really?
and they were just like, "Well, nobody gets excited about any of this unless they're from the States." And we're like, "Yeah, well, we are." So we were having a great time though. It was so fun.
Speaking of jazz, I just went to at PLU every Thursday night. They have a thing called Jazz Under the Stars, and they have various artists come in, and we were just there. I posted a little video clip, just a sample.
Yeah, I saw that. That was cool.
And I can't remember the lady's name to remember. It was just incredible. We've been doing it for a couple of years now, and it's a good time. And Seattle's Best Coffee sponsors it, so you go there, get free coffee. Yeah. And you get a touch of a different culture other than the top 40 on the radio, you know?
Right, totally.
And then
sorry, I'm just moving my phone closer to you because the music is super
loud.
we
got music piped in now.
Yeah.
So, it was pretty cool. And then that was Thursday night, and then Friday night, what did I do? Nothing. I don't think I did anything.
I'm shocked.
I'm so, my head is so wishy-washy because it thinks I know I did something. I went to the doctor. That's all I did. Because I went to the doctor. And that's where I found out I had 2 bulging discs in my neck. Yeah. And then Saturday.
Is the treatment just physical therapy and stuff, or are they proposing any other more
Physical
drastic
therapy
things?
is right now, the less invasive is physical therapy, then shots, then surgery. Which I'm not looking. If I get surgery, I'm retired. I'm going to be taking. I won't be going back to work.
Totally.
But because the neck is bad. You can't be messing around with your neck.
No.
Your neck and back. Oh, I'm all burpy now. Sorry.
That's all right.
Your neck and back is something you don't want to mess with.
I know.
Yeah.
It's true.
And we all eventually end up with neck and back problems as we get older. So.
My mom, and even my mom, didn't work in a job like yours, but just has had degenerative back stuff.
Right.
I try to. That's actually why I got into yoga originally, was because I had some weird back things and I have big boobs, and usually back problems go with big boobs.
Yeah.
It's the weird balance of weight thing.
Mine's my belly. My belly pulls on my lower back.
But I try to make my back stronger because I'm trying to stave off those.
Are you still doing yoga?
Yeah, I do yoga all the time.
Oh, cool!
Yeah.
I like it actually.
Me too.
I'm gonna see if I can get it prescribed to me.
Awesome.
Because I like the hot yoga.
Do you?
I love it.
I had a panic attack. I've had 2 panic attacks in my life, and one of them was the day before I left on my mission, and it was the fear of going on my mission. I had this weird Have you ever had a panic attack?
I think so. It's where you actually freak out.
Oh, I totally.
Yeah.
My elbows felt like they were on fire, and I was like, "What's wrong with my elbows?" And I was walking around I don't understand. And then it spread up my arm, and I went to my mom, and I was like, "I don't understand what's happening. My arms feel like they're on fire." And she's like, "Oh, you're having a panic attack," and gave me a Xanax, and I
Really?
went to bed and passed out, and then woke up. But it was mentally, I was totally calm. But physically, my body was completely wigging out. And then the second time I had it was doing Bikram yoga, which I guess is different than hot yoga. I've been in hot yoga where it's about 85 degrees in the room.
Okay.
And they keep it just a little bit too warm for you. And then I did Bikram, which is 102 degrees and 85%
That's
humidity.
the one I do.
Oh my gosh. And I had a panic attack. I had to leave. And I think it was just feeling like I was suffocating. And it freaked me out. And I was like, I can't, I couldn't even, I did 3 moves. And then I was so I felt like I was going to throw up. It was horrible.
I did it with my wife, and she comes out, and she was angry. She's mad, upset because it just releases something.
Oh,
in you.
weird.
And and I came out I had just had a quad shot
Crazy.
espresso. I'm I'm all jazzed up. My heart rate's way up high.
Wow.
My heart rate was probably at 130 beats a minute.
Crazy.
And I just wanted. Let's go do something, and I want to.
Is that why you were jacked up today? You came in and you were like, I have tons of energy.
Well, actually, I felt. No, I don't know why. I think it's because I haven't really been doing anything the last couple of days, and this is something I was kind of looking forward to it on Saturday, but.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no worries. Stuff happens.
Yeah.
And I'm also not medicated this morning.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
Totally.
So I'm a little bit more lucid than I have been the last few days.
Totally.
So.
Right on. Yeah, I've been doing yoga since. I think I started doing yoga my senior year in high school with my friend Rachel, actually. And we just started doing it at home, and then we went to some classes, and then over the years, I found I actually don't like going to studios because, what happened was when I moved to Las Vegas, I had this friend Ryan who I worked with, and one day he was like, "You do yoga, I do yoga, let's do yoga together." And so for 2 years, every Sunday morning I went to his house and we would do yoga in his living room, and then we'd go have this Thai food place down the street, which was great Thai food, and we'd get their lunch special, and it was every single Sunday we'd walk in and they would just bring it to us because we got exactly the same thing for 2 years. And so we got really sometimes we'd use a video, sometimes we wouldn't.
Right.
And I got used to just doing yoga as I think, which, there's no right way to do it, but yoga is not an aerobics class. Yoga is an introspective, almost meditative practice.
Right.
And when I go to studios to do it, I feel like it's an aerobics class.
Right.
But if I do it at home, I feel more
you're at your pace.
And more it's not about competing with other people in the class or doing anything right. It's just about me doing yoga. But the downside of that is then I'm lazy if I go to a class, I tend to try harder.
Right.
But when I stay home, I tend to feel better. And so I have a weird mix. Like, every once in a while, I'll go to a studio for like a month. And then I'll stop and just do it at home.
When I did it was like, there were certain moves I couldn't do right away. Because I just wasn't that flexible. And then, but it was like small victories. It was within a matter of like 2 or 3 classes, I was able to do, I got to that flexibility point. And it was like so there's one where you were supposed to reach behind, lay on your stomach and do like a rocking horse. You reach, grab your ankles.
I can't do that.
No, I couldn't until I think it was like the 5th session in, and I can actually grab my ankles. And I was like, it was like, woo-hoo. I was like a celebration. It was like, wow, awesome. I can grab my ankles. And then, well, I do have one funny thing though. I would rush from work, and I'd meet my wife at the studio, or I'd go home and pick her up. But I'd rush from work, and I was famished. I needed something to eat, and I would try to eat at least 2 hours before.
Yeah.
And I made a mistake, and I ate a hot dog. Not a good thing to eat. It's just, they're so salty, and it's just not a very healthy thing. I would try to eat something that was really light,
or
had a piece of fruit.
Something.
Yeah,
totally.
That was the first time I'm laying there, and my stomach was not happy. I'm like, I'm going to throw up. I'm going to throw up. So I had to get up and leave.
And
then once you leave, they don't want you to come back in because it disrupts the class. So I just kind of stayed. And it was bad. I was like, wow. Okay, note to self: do not eat hot dogs before yoga.
That's funny. I thought you were going to say you farted, because I think yoga farts are the most hilarious farts that there are.
I did hear them in there, and I'm like, wow. And they were from like the prettiest looking girls too.
Yeah. Sometimes you can't help it. Like if you, like there are moments in yoga that if you go to fart there, it's coming out because there's no other way.
And they're like, it's natural. Namaste.
Totally. Yeah, I really like yoga. It's interesting though. I actually was I was eavesdropping on a conversation of people that I don't know that well.
Right.
And I discovered that I don't like a person that I don't really even know her that well. It's a coworker kind of, like she works in a different department though. And she's like really, really, really young. And it was her like explaining it was something about yoga that just was like the stupidest sounding conversation.
Right.
Because she was talking about like yoga and really pitching this older woman about yoga. Okay. And then pitching about like this completely nonsensical juice fast that she's on. And I was sitting there and I'm just like, okay, like trying to tune them out, because it was like, you could tell that this person just had like no clue what she was talking about. Right. And I let it go as far as I could, and then at one point she was talking about like how you could just eat broccoli for the rest of your life and that's it, because there's protein in broccoli. And I was like, actually, there's not a complete protein in broccoli. No vegetable has a complete protein. And if you don't eat things like beans and rice or lentils, you will die. Yeah. And she was like,
very sick,
kale. And I was like, no, not kale either. As much as Whole Foods wants you to think that there's tons of protein in kale, there's like a little protein and it's not a complete protein. So your body, like you cannot only eat that. And she was like, anyway, she was like basically trying to convince this other woman that she should go on like a juice fast because of all of the toxins it releases.
Right.
And I left that part alone because I don't want to get into it too much. But whenever people talk about toxins, I'm like, you don't even know what that means. Like, there is no such thing as a toxin. There are toxic substances, and they are detectable, and you can know exactly what they are. But these mysterious toxins are like saying ghosts. Right. Like, it means nothing. And she went on and on and on about it, and I was just sitting at my desk going, like trying to focus on not inserting myself in the conversation.
Right.
Because it was just a bag of nonsense. And I was like, you don't even know what you're talking about.
Right.
Like, you have no idea. And then her juice fast, she will never listen to this, so it's totally fine. She wouldn't even know that I had a podcast. She was drinking bottled juice, like the kind you buy at the store, and I was like,
which is
it's not even a juice fast. I was
it's processed, full of sugars, and probably full of toxins.
I know, the mysterious toxins
from a plastic bottle as well, right?
Oh, so gosh, it made my brain like, I was like, I cannot deal with people anymore today, which I think actually it was earlier in the week, but I think I've been a little bit sick all week because I've been really grumpy.
Right.
Anyway.
No, I got a friend of ours. She's a school teacher. She's a raw foodist, and so she studied all that stuff. But it's a balance of everything. Now you want They just basically don't want you to overcook your food. That's because it kills the whatever.
Which also is nonsense, I hope you know.
It is a little bit, but
because cooking food was how we evolved larger brains than our ape ancestors.
Yeah.
Because it allowed us to get more protein, and so like it's not nonsense in that they're trying to do something that, like, in my opinion, it makes you eat less processed foods and more vegetables.
Right. That's
which
exactly
is always good.
Right.
But the ideology about the raw food, to me, from what I understand of it is better for humans to all eat raw food, and evolutionarily it's not.
It's a skirted rule though. It's because it's dehydrated, but it doesn't reach over a certain 125 degrees, so it technically isn't cooked. It is cooked, but it isn't cooked.
Right. So it's kind of splitting hairs.
Yeah.
But I have a lot of friends who do raw food, and what it ends up being is just a vegetable-filled diet with some lean protein, which is what everybody should be eating anyway. Right, because it's like a balanced thing with a little bit of grains, a little bit of meat, and mostly vegetables. Right. And anything that gets you to that point, I think, is good. But it's when people invent all these nonsense things to get you to that point. Like I had a friend who really was into this anti-inflammatory diet thing, and I swear to I could not get her to explain to me what was inflamed. I'm like, I don't understand what the inflammatory part of it is. But the result of it was that she couldn't eat anything processed. And I was like, well, then it's good for you. Because if you're not eating processed foods, you're forced to eat vegetables and lean meats. You're good. You're
not taking in as much sugar, salt, and also whatever chemical they use to process the food.
Yeah, like all the preservatives and stuff. So that's going to be better for you. But it's the mythology part of it that bothers me. And I'm just like...
In a way, it's a way to scare people into trying to get into that.
Right.
It's anti-inflammatory. Well, like you said, what's inflamed?
Well, and the Bible did it originally, or not even originally, but a long time ago, where it's like, really, God wants you to only eat these kinds of foods because
the kosher diet.
Totally. It's like, well, whether it's God telling you that, or it's because something mysteriously is becoming inflamed.
The Bible, the original lobbyist.
Totally.
Yeah, that's that'll bring me around to the dairy thing too. If you think about it, it's like we are the only species on the planet that actually suckle from another animal.
Yeah,
and that's a cow. You know what I mean? It's like you're not literally putting the teat in your mouth, but you're milking it, and it's like milk is good for baby cows.
Yeah,
that's what it's good for, and we honestly, I mean, it is good for some things, but. To me, it's just weird. It weirds me out. Actually, it really does weird me out.
I was going to tell you, too, I got that way about eggs for a while. Because I would be eating eggs, and I would start to think about what an egg was, and it would creep me out, and then I couldn't eat them. Then I got over it. But I still don't really like eggs that much.
I love eggs.
I think dairy's one of those things that's, sometimes, there are people who cannot eat dairy. The lactose intolerant. And then there's people who choose not to, and it's probably more healthy for them.
Yeah.
I think for the general public, who cares?
It's cheaper too. It also comes down. It's almost $4 a gallon. And it's
for sure.
I'm like, I'd rather drink something else hemp or a soy, or I try not to do soy too much because it messes with estrogen levels.
I know. I recently have been on a diet that's really high in soy because I have problems grocery shopping, and so I've bought these meal bars. Anyway, my hair has grown 2 inches, and it's from the soy.
Yeah.
It makes your hair grow. It makes my eyebrows were going crazy.
Oh, bushy.
Yeah, it does weird things to your body, which I didn't never realize that until the last time I did this these bars you get that are really high in soy. And I noticed my eyebrow hair and the hair on my legs growing a lot faster, and I was like, what is going on? And then I looked it up, and it said that soy has that pseudoestrogen thing going on.
And it's basically because it's an organic. It's organically. What is it? Genetically organic? No, how do they say it? GMO, genetic mutated organism. Because that's what soy has been.
Yeah.
Forever.
Well, pretty much everything we eat is genetically modified.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even that's another thing too. It's people they want to eat heirlooms, heirloom like vegetables like tomatoes and carrots and stuff. I said, well, those are also.
Well, yeah, those were domesticated, which is a form of genetic modification.
Yeah, that's what I said. They were bred. They were crossbred naturally, but not in a lab. But they were people grew them and cross pollinated them and developed their own strain.
I have a weird it's something that bothers me, which is the idea that we have about what is natural and what is not natural. That it, to me, there are two words that are essentially meaningless that we use all the time, and that's health and natural. That what is health?
Right.
Like what is nature? Like plastic, you could say, is a natural substance because it comes from processes that happen on Earth.
Right.
Like we are like if honey is natural, honey is processed by bees, then why is plastic not natural? Like, there's some line in there that some person drew that's like, everything on this side is natural, everything on that side's not natural.
If you think about it, honey's actually
and it
just
makes no sense
regurgitations from bees, too.
I know.
That's bee spit.
It is really kind of grody.
Yeah. But it's yummy. I love honey, though.
I know, me too. But that's, I don't know, like, when people start, like, making those like, well, this is scary because it's a GMO, but this isn't because it happened 200 years ago and I couldn't see it.
Right.
That's like... It's like, have you seen the picture on, like, people put it on Facebook all the time where it's like an ear of corn on one side that says organic and then an ear of corn on the other side that says GMO, and they let squirrels go at it and they eat all of the organic corn and none of the GMO corn.
It's like, how do they know?
Well, that's the point, is that squirrels can tell because the organic corn is so much better than the non-organic corn or whatever. But corn itself is like entirely a product of human organizing. Like, we made corn what it is today by crossbreeding it and like making it better and like whatever you call those, like, not in a lab but in the fields kind of domestication of corn. So it's like, well, corn is only corn because we made it corn, so how is that different than these I have so many friends who are like crazy on the anti-Monsanto. I can't say the word Monsanto.
I don't know.
Oh, it's the GMO company who trademarks their seeds and stuff.
Oh, right.
Yeah, and
It's
I'm just
a huge corporation.
Yeah. Which I'm like, well, they're probably shitty like every huge corporation, but I don't know. It's like
the
a
ones
weird
that bring
religious
us corn syrup
thing.
too. Is that?
I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure. But it's almost like a religious fanaticism that really makes me go, I need to read more science about this. I feel like you don't understand the science.
I tend to stay away from each side of the wacko spectrum. I try to whatever. If it doesn't make
wacko spectrum.
Right.
Oh my god.
Because if you go too far one way, you run into wackos over here, and you run over too far this way, you run into wackos over here. I just try to stay in the middle where the wackos can't reach me.
That's exactly how I feel. It is kind of creepy how, it's really a circle, and they meet, on this, you're saying you go too far, you get to the same place, and it's all tinfoil helmets, and, somebody's out to get you, whether it's a corporation or evil spirits.
Well, one wants your money, one wants you to stay away from everything. That's the way I see it. It's like...
Yeah. My friend and I made a joke that we were going to start a restaurant that served only genetically modified foods, and our logo was just going to be like a middle finger, like a hand with the middle finger flipped.
What would you call it, though?
I don't know. And it was going to be all stuff from out of town, because you know how the thing in food is local, organic.
Yeah.
I was like, we should just do the opposite of that. Do everything is bussed in from really far away, and it's all genetically modified with lots of pesticide
and salt. Yeah.
Do you know, I recently read that they, over the last 30 years of nutritional research, they have found that 99% of the population does not need to control their salt intake for blood pressure and heart disease. That only people who have blood pressure and heart disease need to control their salt intake. Yeah. The average population does not need to, eating too much salt won't cause high blood pressure and heart disease. Which previously they thought it did.
It did. Yeah.
And now that they've really researched it long term, they're like, no, really only the people who are like have had heart attacks and
prone to
are
it.
going to die.
We already have pre-existing, it runs in the family type.
I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
Not that I do love salt, but I was like, oh, well, I don't have to worry about salt anymore.
I never salt my food ever.
Really?
I just
you
don't
like
do it.
blandness.
No, I don't. I generally pick foods that are made that are seasoned enough.
Right.
If I have to season it, I don't go back. I really don't go back to that place, or I don't cook it again.
But if you're cooking at home, I put a little bit of salt on
as
things.
I'm cooking, but after it's already made. I almost never salt my stuff.
Yeah.
I see people like.
Oh, I've seen people like put salt on every bite they put in their mouth, and I'm like, wow,
that's a lot of salt.
It's crazy, a lot of salt.
I have a friend, actually a coworker. I seen him put soy sauce on fried rice and then salt that same fried rice.
Holy
I'm like,
cow! I can't use soy
that
sauce.
would burn my tongue.
Yeah.
That would it'd suck. I'd be dehydrated by the end of that meal. Yeah.
I can't do soy sauce because it's too salty. It gross. I don't think it's delicious at all. I think it's kind of
No,
grody.
I don't like it either. It's way too salty. Liquid salt.
It is.
And see, that's because I haven't developed. I guess if you did it all the time, you'd develop a tolerance for it.
Yeah,
it's just
sure.
just like kids and sugar.
Oh, totally.
They can put a pound of sugar on like the smallest bowl of cereal, and then want more sugar.
And I get down to like this much. They only had sugar in the raw here at Freshy's coffee shop, and I'm a Splenda person because I exclusively drink iced coffee. And no other... Splenda's the only one that actually dissolves in cold stuff.
Right.
All of the other sugars create this delightful inch at the bottom that is like
a little
pure
slurry.
sugar.
A little slurry.
And I can't drink it. So that's why usually I don't put anything in my coffee, but I needed just a little bit of sugar.
Yeah. I've unless I go out to have a cup of coffee, I drink all my coffee black.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually trained myself to drink it black because I would get to so many places like this one that didn't have Splenda that I was like, I really should just learn to like it black. That way I don't need anything to drink coffee.
I found that you can taste the flavors once you learn once it's not flavored with something else. So it's like you actually taste the coffee, and it actually has a natural sweetness in its own.
It does.
Yeah.
I cold brewed some at home this week because I spend way too much money on coffee. And now I have a big jug of iced coffee in my fridge.
Oh, nice.
It's really good.
Cold brew. How do you do that?
It's so easy. Basically, you get ground coffee and like a big jug, and you put like a full cup of coffee in for like every. The recipe I found online said every 4 cups you put a cup in, but I did 20 cups of water and 2 cups of coffee. And then you let it sit overnight, and then you strain it.
Okay.
And it's great. Like it's
so it
just
naturally
time.
it just leaches out the coffee essence.
And
into
it's
the water.
really sweet and really unbitter. It's really good.
Cool.
And cheap. And now I have iced coffee in my house, and now I'm trying to save money. So
almost sounds like sun tea.
It
does.
does.
Like sun tea?
It's exactly the same way as doing sun tea. And then you just throw it in the fridge. And I got one of those like ball things with a little spout on it. So then I just like open the fridge. It's like a jug with a spout.
Oh, okay.
Instead of a pitcher.
Okay.
And so then you just like spigot out a little bit of coffee.
Tap.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Tap. That's the word I was thinking of. Totally.
Yeah, I like those.
Yes. So, we're almost out of time, but I wanted to talk a little bit before we finish about the next few weeks. Number 1, we have new intro music, which I would like to thank my brother, Rick Entrop, for the intro music. He did this special for us after listening to some episodes and kind of getting a sense of our vibe. He did our intro music for us.
That's good. I like it.
Yeah, me too. Thank you, Rick.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
He's going to be on the podcast in a couple of weeks as our special guest, which he said he just wants to talk about everything. Like, he might talk about his music, he might talk about his art, he might just, like, talk about life with us.
That's good, because that's what we do.
I know.
Yeah, there's really no rhyme or reason to each podcast.
And Scott has a couple of people that we're going to have on as guests, so in the next few weeks. More guests, more... we're trying to come up with some segments to make the show more organized, but I keep pondering it, and I'm in the pondering phase. I haven't moved into the execution phase yet.
I think it's almost like water finds its own level. We'll run into it. We'll figure out what works and what doesn't work.
Yeah.
I think
so it'll be good, and we're just gonna shape the show a little bit more in the next little bit, like the next phase, I guess.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think. There was something else I wanted to mention.
Well,
I can't remember.
I do have something.
Yes.
So yesterday we went to a car show,
yeah.
and during the car show there was a gentleman there, or actually a group of people with making wood-fired pizzas. And me being who I am, I couldn't just leave the guy alone. I had to ask him exactly what was going on. And this guy actually makes and sells mobile pizza ovens, which are wood-fired pizza ovens. And you can find them if you look it up. If you're interested, look them up it's Ralph's. Is that how do you pronounce that? Raoul's? Rawls.
Raul. It's Raul. It's either Raul or I think
Yeah.
it depends on if you're Latino or not. Raul.
He didn't look Latino.
Okay. And I can put this. I'll put this stuff up on our Facebook page too. So these are portable wood-fired ovens that people can buy to have at home, or like go tailgating and make wood-fired pizza, right? Or like
if you want to
do
just
a food truck.
Yeah, if you wanted to go like do events like fairs and stuff, you can make. It's a good little business venture for people if they want to invest in it. They're not cheap, but contact him at Pops Beal. That's POPS Beal BEAL at MSN.com. So just look him up there and if you tell him you heard it on the coffee shop and see what kind of deals you can make.
Cool.
Yeah,
and we'll put his stuff up on our Facebook page too, because I think this is something that Scott thought was like a really, really fantastic thing, right?
Yeah, it was really cool. You can, they're so portable. You can put them on a picnic table, and it doesn't. They're insulated to where you can actually hug them and not get burned. I mean, they're really
cool.
Yeah, they're really cool.
Yeah, right on.
Yeah.
And what was I going to say? I forget. I was going to say something else. Oh, so that's another thing, is that we're actually starting to look for sponsors, and we're starting to kind of, I don't know, like we have a really good audience base right now, which I think is fantastic, and I've been hearing a lot of really good feedback. So please, please, please tell your friends. Like really, we love doing this, and we want to keep doing it, and the way to keep doing it is to generate a little bit of income, because it does cost us a little bit of money to put this out, and the dream would be to make tons and tons of money, but the realistic thing that we could probably do is make enough money to keep this going for a few years, you know?
That'd be cool.
Which I think would be fantastic. So please share it with a friend. Please download, talk about it. Like us on Facebook at From the Coffee Shop. Find us on Twitter. We're on Tumblr. And of course, you can always find us on SoundCloud, and we should very soon be on iTunes. Crossing my fingers.
iTunes is we're keeping the eye on the prize there. iTunes is where we want to be.
Because iTunes, we're having difficulty getting our RSS feed going, but once we have that set up, we will be on iTunes. So.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you so much for listening, and I don't know, do you have anything else you wanted to say before we
I think that's about it. Yeah, that's about it.
Right on. Well, I hope you feel well, Scott. I'm sorry about your neck.
I'm on the mend.
Good.
Yeah.
You should get all the best parts out of these 6 weeks, though. Like, really, make a bucket list for your 6 weeks.
There's definitely some reflection going on right now, so it's definitely... I'm at the point right now where I'm still young enough where I can change what I'm doing. So,
it's true. Yeah. Totally. Right on. So. Very cool. Well, thanks again for listening. This has been Peggy Hurson and Scott Clark from the Coffee Shop. Huzzah!
Huzzah!